The rain hammered against the windows of my Chicago apartment, mirroring the storm raging inside me. My name is Barnaby, and until a week ago I was a content, if somewhat unremarkable, architect. I was 44, happily married to Tierney for 18 years, or so I thought. It started subtly. Tierney, a vibrant and outgoing marketing executive, began working late more often. Dinners out with clients, she'd say, her eyes sparkling with a practiced innocence that I now recognize as a warning sign. I dismissed my nagging unease as work stress. I was wrong. The first real crack in our FOD appeared on a Tuesday. Tierney had mentioned a conference in Dallas, a big networking opportunity she couldn't miss. I kissed her goodbye at the airport, a lingering hug, a promise to call every night. The next day I received a package, a new set of drafting tools I'd been eyeing. The card read, "Thinking of you. Hope these help with your next masterpiece. Love, Tierney." It was a thoughtful gesture, except Tierney knew I already had a top-of-the-line set. I chalked it up to her being busy, a simple mistake. But the seed of doubt had been planted. That night, unable to shake the feeling that something was amiss, I decided to surprise her. I checked her flight details online. No flight to Dallas. In fact, no flights booked at all under her name. My heart hammered against my ribs. Where was she? Why the lie? I spent a sleepless night wrestling with possibilities, each more horrifying than the last. An accident, a family emergency, or something far more sinister. The next morning, I did something I never thought I was capable of. I went through her laptop. I know it's a violation of privacy, a betrayal of trust, but the need to know, to understand, outweighed my scruples. The first few emails were innocuous, work-related stuff, the usual marketing jargon. Then I found it. A thread labeled Project Nightingale. The sender, a name I didn't recognize, Crispin. My hands trembled as I opened the first email. It was a love letter filled with intimate details, shared jokes, and promises of a future together. My world tilted on its axis. I scrolled through the rest of the thread, each email a fresh wound, each word a hammer blow to my soul. They talked about their stolen moments, their secret rendezvous, their burning passion. They'd been seeing each other for months, meeting at hotels, restaurants, even our vacation home in Wisconsin. Our vacation home. The place where we'd built so many memories, where I'd envisioned growing old with Tierney. It was all a lie. Crispin, I discovered, was a consultant who'd been working with Tierney's company on a new marketing campaign. He was married too, with 2 young children. The level of betrayal was staggering. I felt numb, detached, as if I were watching a movie of someone else's life. The pain would come later, I knew, but for now I was simply trying to process the information, to make sense of the senseless. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking. I needed to confront her, but not yet. I needed to gather my thoughts, to prepare myself for the inevitable explosion. Tierney arrived home late that evening, full of apologies for being delayed. She rushed to me, hugging me tight, her voice full of concern. "Rough day, honey. You look pale." I forced a smile. "Just tired," I said, my voice betraying nothing. The conference must have been exhausting. Her eyes flickered for a fraction of a second, a barely perceptible hesitation. "It was," she said, a little too quickly. "Lots of networking, lots of late nights." I wanted to scream, to accuse her, to tear her world apart, but I held back. I needed to play this carefully. "I am glad it was productive," I said, my voice flat. "I missed you that night. I couldn't sleep." I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the emails in my mind. The details were excruciating. Their pet names for each other, their inside jokes, their explicit descriptions of their encounters. I got up and walked to the living room, pouring myself a glass of whiskey. I sat in the dark, the only light coming from the city outside. The rain had stopped, but the clouds still hung heavy in the sky. I knew I couldn't stay in this marriage, not after this. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. But I also knew I couldn't just walk away. I needed answers. I needed to understand why. The next day I called a lawyer. I needed to protect myself, to understand my rights. I also hired a private investigator, a discreet, no-nonsense woman named Aloan. I needed proof, irrefutable evidence of the affair. Aloan got to work immediately, setting up surveillance, tracking Tierney's movements, gathering information on Crispin. The waiting was agonizing. Every smile from Tierney felt like a mockery, every kind word a dagger to my heart. I pretended everything was normal, going through the motions of our daily life, while inside I was crumbling. A week later, Aloan called. She had the evidence. Photos, videos, hotel receipts. Everything I needed to blow Tierney's world apart. I met Aloan at a small cafe downtown. She handed me a thick envelope, her expression grim. "I am sorry, Barnaby," she said. "It's pretty damning." I opened the envelope, my hands trembling. The photos were explicit, undeniable. Tierney and Crispin embracing, kissing, entering a hotel room. The videos were even worse. I watched them for a few minutes, then closed the envelope, my stomach churning. "Thank you, Aloan," I said, my voice hoarse. "You've done your job." I went home, my head swimming. I found her in the kitchen preparing dinner. She turned, smiling brightly. "Hey, honey. How was your day?" I stared at her, my heart filled with a mixture of rage and sorrow. "It was eye-opening," I said, my voice cold. "I know about Crispin." Her face paled. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. I pulled the envelope from behind my back and tossed it on the counter. "These might jog your memory," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "Or maybe you'd like to explain why you've been lying to me for months." She picked up the envelope, her hands trembling. She opened it, her eyes widening as she saw the photos. She looked up at me, her face a mask of fear and shame. "Barnaby, I can explain," she stammered. "Explain," I said, my voice rising. "Explain how you could betray me like this. Explain how you could lie to my face every single day. Explain how you could desecrate our marriage, our home, our life." She started to cry, her body shaking uncontrollably. "I am so sorry, Barnaby," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just happened." "Happened," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You just happened to fall into bed with another man. You just happened to lie to me for months. You just happened to destroy everything we've built together." She sank to the floor, sobbing hysterically. "I love you, Barnaby," she wailed. "Please forgive me." I looked at her, my heart filled with disgust. "Love me," I said, my voice cold. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have betrayed me in the most despicable way imaginable." I turned and walked out of the kitchen, out of the apartment, out of her life. The divorce was swift and brutal. Tierney begged me to reconsider, promising to end the affair, to go to therapy, to do anything to save our marriage. But it was too late. The damage was done. The trust was gone. I sold the apartment, packed my belongings, and moved to a small town in Wisconsin, near our vacation home. I needed to escape the city, to find peace, to rebuild my life. I threw myself into my work, designing houses, sketching landscapes, trying to find solace in my art. But the pain lingered, a constant ache in my heart. One day, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a letter. It was from Crispin's wife, a woman named Iolanthe. She had found out about the affair just as I had, and had kicked Crispin out. She was writing to apologize, to express her sympathy, to share her own pain. We began corresponding, sharing our stories, offering each other support. We discovered we had a lot in common, a shared sense of betrayal, a shared desire for healing. Eventually, we met. Iolanthe was a kind, intelligent, and beautiful woman. We spent hours talking, sharing our experiences, laughing and crying. We found comfort in each other's company, a sense of understanding that we couldn't find anywhere else. We started dating, cautiously at first, then with increasing passion. We fell in love. It wasn't the same kind of love Id had with Tierney, a youthful, idealistic love. This was a mature, grounded love, born out of shared pain and mutual respect. I learned a valuable lesson from my experience with Tierney. That trust is fragile, that betrayal can come from the most unexpected places, and that forgiveness is not always possible. I also learned that life goes on, even after the most devastating heartbreak. That healing is possible, that love can be found again, and that sometimes the greatest tragedies can lead to the most unexpected blessings. Iolanthe and I are now married. We live in the house I designed, overlooking the lake. We are happy. It's not the life I envisioned, but it's a good life, a fulfilling life, a life filled with love and laughter. Tierney, I heard through mutual friends, is doing okay. She's still with Crispin, living in Dallas. They seem happy, or at least they pretend to be. I don't hate her. I don't wish her ill. I simply don't care. She is a chapter in my life that is now closed. My story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most seemingly perfect relationships can be shattered by betrayal. But it's also a story of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love can still find a way.